What's going on, world? It's your main man, Kareem A. Rashid, the voice and the host of Clearing the Wreckage. Yes, indeed. I don't know if you're on your way to work or if you're on a lunch break or if you're on the toilet. If you are doing number one, that is driving to work, of course, keep your ears open and your eyes on the road, please. Number two, not literally number two, but if you're on your lunch break, make sure that you pause this episode and get back to work when you need to, on time. Punctuality matters. And if you're on the toilet, literally now number two, not number three. Be sure to flush. You know what I mean? Indeed, yes. We got another great episode for you today. Today is episode 10, and we are going to discuss the power of journaling. And the reason I'm discussing this with you, I know, you hear it so much. You probably hear it so much, and you're like, oh my God, another podcast episode about journaling. Oh, another audiobook about writing something down. OMG. Well, obviously that means it's very, very crucial to you clearing the wreckage in your life, to you growing and evolving and becoming a mature version, an authentic version of yourself. So let's begin with, I had no clue, first of all, that writing these things down, my thoughts that is, would help me see, oh my gosh, this is how I think. So remember on the last episode, I shared with you, OMG, I'm still a child mentally. How do you think I realized that I was still a child? Part of it was by me, as I always say, taking time to look inside so that the wreckage can begin to clear. And the other was the power behind being able to see my thoughts on paper in front of me. You know, the brain is such a magical, mysterious creation that we have inside of our skull. It is pretty doggone amazing. One of the things about the brain that I learned, and I did a discovery on it because, well, I was trying to figure out, you know, why do I think like this? And so I did a little study on the brain, and one of the things I found out was that I behave because of the way I think. So my behavior comes from how I think. So let's break that down real quick. Let's just break it down. I'm gonna go back. And can I get real with you? Can I get vulnerable with you? First of all, I just want to say thank you so much. If you are tuning in for the first time, you are on a journey with me. I've invited you in, and I want you to walk alongside with me so that we can do this together. You and I can clear the wreckage together. This is about oneness, if that's even a word. This is about togetherness, if that's even a word. I just put ness on the end of everything. I don't know. It's just about unity. And such is as in life. And that's the type of mindset that I have now. Now, back then, I didn't have that mindset. You know, the type of mindset I had back then, I'm alone. I shared that with you in episode 5. That's the mindset I had back then. I'm all alone in this. My family doesn't love me. As I also shared with you in one of my episodes, that I never heard those 3 words that I feel, at least, that every child needs to hear from their parental figures. I love you. I also did not receive that emotional affection. I didn't receive that emotional affection. I didn't receive that physical affection. There was no hugs. It was none of that growing up. Now don't get me wrong. When I was a little itsy bitsy baby, I was the youngest. I was adorable. I don't know what happened from that point. But I was so freaking adorable. And I had the most biggest yellow, because I was a yeller baby, cheeks. And they got pinched all the time by people. And so I did get coddled by my siblings at a very, very, very young age. But after that, my siblings were all older than me. I have a sister who is 14 years older than me. So when I was born, she was 14. So imagine me at age 4. She's already 18, graduated. She's gone from the house. Gone. I felt abandoned. Where did my sister go? Then my other sister was born shortly after her. Then boom, so she left the house. And then my other sister, she left the house. And then, my brother, he got into some trouble at an early age. And so then he was gone. And it was just me. And I felt so alone. And that is probably when I really started drinking and drugging heavily. Now, I told you I took my first drink at age 12. I did. And someone very close to me gave me that drink. And I loved the effect. I loved the way it made me feel, right? So I continued to do so throughout my adolescent years. I continued to do so. Especially after my brother left. I ran the streets. I was in the hood. I ran the streets. I hung out with the OGs. I learned the game. You know what I'm saying? I learned how to sell drugs. I learned how to do drugs. I learned how to drink. That's all I did. I learned about sex, all these things, I'm an adolescent. I'm 13, 14 years old doing all these things. And so my childhood was kind of, and I wrecked up is the term that I'm going to use, because there was a lot of wreckage involved in my childhood. And I can't wait to get extremely real with you in some of the later episodes, where I can tell you some of the things that went on in the household, some of the things that happened to me as a child that developed my way of thinking, my thought process. I shared all that to say that it developed my thought process. So I behaved the way that I thought. I felt alone. So I was looking and searching for people. I didn't have anybody in the home to connect with, so I went out. My brother was gone. It was just me. It was me in the house with me and my dad and my stepmother. So just let that sink in. Imagine that for a moment, And I didn't have anyone. So I ran the streets, you know what I'm saying? I hung out with the people that my brother was hanging out with, after my brother left. And they taught me the game. You know what I'm saying? They sold it to me. And the game is to be sold. And the game is to be told, not to be sold. So they told me the game. They taught it to me. You know what I'm saying? And I learned that I fit in here because all of them are drinking and I'm drinking. I fit in. So that's where that behavior came from. My thought process. I think I shared in an earlier episode that the thoughts come first and then we behave according to the thoughts that we have in our brain. It's simple, but it's such a powerful thing that we have up there behind our skull. It's powerful. It drives us. There's desire inside of my mind. There's feelings. There's the knowledge. So the cognitive would be the knowledge. And the knowledge that I had came from experience and it developed into belief. And the experience was, oh man, when I drink, oh my God, this feels really great. Oh, I fit in with everybody. Oh, it's like, oh, well, I have like almost a family outside of my house because, you know, I can kick it with the OGs and man, they took me in. They made me feel good about myself. And that is what alcohol and drugs did. People, so do you catch the drift where I'm getting at? So the power of journaling. I told you I was going to this career place every day trying to find a job. I wrote all of that down. I just found in one of my books actually that I wrote all of those notes down. I still have the binder of me graduating from that career place, receiving all these certificates. And that's what I did in my first year of sobriety. And then eventually I found the job. You know, going to that career place was my job until I found a job. And then eventually I found a job. Woo! Thank God I did. And with that being said, I started working and, you know, it wasn't that great at first because I wasn't used to working. But then I developed a habit of obviously, you know, getting to work on time and becoming a great worker. And I actually excelled in that job, and I'll share a little bit more about that in a different episode. But in regards to that, I finally found a job, and then I finally got paid, and I gave my mother my money. And then I found this other gentleman, who was an accountant and just this financial guru. And so I started giving him my money to save myself. Because let me tell you something about the power of journaling. I wrote down in my book, in my journal, every time I had a thought of drinking, I wrote it down. I wrote down all of my thoughts. I was writing in my journal every single morning. I was writing in my journal every afternoon. And I was writing in my journal every night. And the power of that is that I was able to see the thoughts, the wreckage, and how my brain thinks about things and why. And also, here's the second key to it that's so amazing. As I'm writing in my journal and I see these crazy thoughts, like, you know, oh man, I'm so pissed off at my boss. You know, he said this or that. And then I see the other side of that because I'm seeing my thoughts as I'm writing them. And then there's a solution that's coming. It's helping me to think. It's helping me to think rationally. So that was the power of it as well. And I wanted to share that because I know you're probably just like, all right, well, you're just telling me an episode about, you know, you just were writing in your journal, you know, but that's how it helped me. clear the wreckage, y'all. That is how it helped me, because I was writing down things, and then I was able to see that's a bad thought. Change it. And those good thoughts would come in, and I would write those down too. And then I was able to find a solution to my wreckage in my brain that was coming out on paper. And I was able to discover that about myself. I was able to discover about myself. So it was a whole process of self-discovery. I discovered about myself that, man, I am wrecked up inside my brain. I have all these irrational thoughts, you know. I had worthless thoughts. I felt worthless. I felt like even when I was trying to find a job, I felt like I'll never find a job. Who's going to hire me? Man, I have this on my record. Nobody wants to, I felt defeated. I didn't share that with you. I mean, it took months and months and months before I found that job. And I felt so defeated just going to this career place every single day. Like, man, I want a job. I want to be a different person. I want to be that person that takes care of myself. I don't want my mother taking care of me. I am trying to clear the wreckage. Right? Remember I shared that in the last episode with you? I'm trying to become a different person, a better version of myself. I'm now sober and clean. I don't want to be the same person that I was. Now I don't have the solution, which my solution was grabbing a drink and drugging. Now I don't have the solution. What is a better solution? How about writing down my thoughts? Oh my gosh, I want to drink right now. Write that crap down. Write it down. And when I would put it out there, it's something about putting your thoughts on paper. It's like you're letting it out and you're putting it into the atmosphere, and then it's gone away. Because when I would do that, I no longer had the thought of drinking. When I would say in my brain that I feel like crap, I'm never going to find a job. I should just off myself. I shouldn't be here. I want to die. And when I write that down, there's power in me putting that on paper and seeing that and me going, oh my God. You don't really want to die. You don't really want to. And then changing those thoughts and going, man, I know I just feel this way. I don't know why I feel this way. And so one of the other things that I did to find a little bit more about myself was I did a study on the brain, did a whole study on like human behavior, all of this. Like I literally did. Like I have it in one of my notebooks. I did a deep dive study on it. Because I wanted to know why I think the way that I think and why I was behaving the way I was behaving, right? And then I decided, because I saw my thoughts on paper, hear me out, stick with me here. This is where it gets real. I saw my thoughts on paper and I saw the erratic thoughts. I saw good thoughts and I saw negative thoughts. I saw these things and I'm like, I wonder if I need to go see a psychiatrist or something. And that's what I did. And oh my gosh, when you want to talk about taking time to look aside so that the wreckage can be clear, facing that was so hard. Sitting and being diagnosed for the first time with depression, clinical depression, anxiety, a mood disorder, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Y'all, can I get real with you? Being diagnosed those things and then having to walk out of that psychiatry appointment and not go and drink and drug to feel better about myself. I felt so low. I felt like, oh my gosh, there's so much wrong with me. That's how I felt. But I was able to write it down. So with that, I was able to expose those thoughts and put them on paper. Then I was able to come up with a solution, and I was able to let go. That, people, that is the power of journaling. And that is what it did for me. Then later on, I was like, oh, maybe I need to go to a psychologist, a counselor, a therapist, somebody, so that I can expose these thoughts out loud to someone, instead of just writing them on paper. And we probably talk about that at a different episode, because I got a whole lot more to discuss about therapy and how helpful that is. However, so with the power behind me writing down my thoughts, exposed it. It took it out of, I'm going to draw a picture for you. All right, let me draw a picture for you. So remember how I said I behave accordingly to the way that I think. All right. So I'm thinking this way. I'm thinking I feel worthless. A behavior from that would be what? To cut myself, or to, maybe take it to the next level. And I'm sorry for the this is rated mature for the graphic descriptions, but that's what I was going through. Because I had all these feelings, all these thoughts inside of me. Now I could finally, let me paint another picture for you. I'm going to make this real clear. When I was drinking and drugging, man, I couldn't hear my thoughts. I mean, I heard them, but then I suppressed them. The same thing with my feelings. Yeah, man. Oh, I feel worthless. Okay, man, I'm finna go drink. I don't want to feel like this. So when I was drinking and drugging, I was suppressing all of those emotions, all of those feelings, all of those thoughts. And then, OMG, I'm sober. I'm not drinking and drugging. I have nothing to suppress my feelings and my emotions. So now they are all rising back up. And they felt so strong, so heightened. The anxiety was high. The depression was high. I'm serious, y'all. My emotions were all over the place. So me taking a pen and pad, taking a notebook, and writing down what was going on was so powerful for me, because I was able to take those things, the thoughts, out of my brain, put them on paper, see it for what it is, and let go of it. And that, folks, is the power of journaling. And when you take the time to look inside, that is how the wreckage begins to clear. So thank you so much for tuning in to another great episode. Once again, if you like this episode, share it on your Instagram stories. If you like this episode, send us a text, follow us, download, subscribe to wherever you get your podcast, whatever channel your podcast comes on, whatever you like listening to it on. Go ahead, download this, like it, subscribe, follow me on IG, author_ Kareem Rashid, KareemRashed. You can follow me on Facebook under Kareem A. Rashid, TikTok under The Real Kareem. Holla at me. Let's do this together. We are one. We are one unit. And again, don't forget, as I always leave you, to take some time to look inside so that the wreckage can begin to clear.